Hi guys, this is Books and Coffee. Welcome back. My name is Jeremy, and um, today we're gonna start with an apology. I'm really sorry for not posting a video on Tuesday. I'm getting really bad at saying I'm going to do it and then I don't. So basically, what happened last week is all day Tuesday, I was just really just down in the dumps. I was very emotionally and mentally down, and I didn't know why. I literally just spent all day laying in bed and watching TV. I didn't even read, so I just wasn't really feeling very well, and I just wasn't in a good place to make a video. So instead, you guys are getting 3 videos, 2 of them today and 1 of them tomorrow to make up for it. And in fact, I'm actually going to start pre-filming all my videos on Mondays and then just upload them on the corresponding day that I have decided to upload them. So yeah, so today is going to be what last week's video was supposed to be, which was going to be like a review of the Donna Reed show because I love that show and I want to share the love with other people. I mean, I know it's a really old show, but I thought I would kind of talk about all the classic TV shows that I have really loved over the years and kind of talk about them and why they mean so much to me. So let's get started. So with some of these, I'm going to be showing you just the first season. I'm not going to hold up the whole show because it's a lot. But this channel is called Books and Coffee, and I do want to do an honorable mention to Javi Coffee Concentrate. Today I'm having their mocha one today, and it is absolutely delicious, and I'm also using one of their metal straws. If you're interested and want to kind of look into them, I will leave a link to their website down in the doobly-doo. I love this stuff, especially if you're really on the go and you don't have time to make a pot of coffee or something like that, and you can't afford to go to your annual Starbucks. This is a much cheaper alternative. And they're so good, and you can customize this any way you want. So, if you guys remember, a few years ago, I did multiple videos on The Rifleman, which is still probably my all-time favorite Western series. It has a lot of great morals. It's got a lot of really awesome action sequences that are really awesome. There's a lot of sitting on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's going to happen next, even though this show ran from 1958 to 1963. It is amazing. It was one of the only series on at the time where a single parent is raising a child, which this is what our main character, Lucas McCain, is doing because he has somewhat lost his wife recently at the beginning of the show. This is actually the season 5 DVD, but it's the only season I have that's in a solid case. The other ones are separated into 2 parts. I'm going to try to hunt down and get the rest of them like this because I hate... It's already bad that Teen Wolf does that, so we're going to try to see if I can find them. But yeah, I just adore it, and I'm still salty that this didn't get an ending. I talked about that in my season 5, season I think 3, 4, 5 review or something like that, or 4 and 5 review. It's been years. I don't remember. I'm sorry, but I talked about this. It doesn't really have an ending, so I've kind of had to imagine my own ending to the show. But there's so many just wonderful moments between the 2 of them. This show is set in the year I think it's 1881 to 1885. And so so many years before technology. There's no electricity. Everything is done by candlelight, and I don't know. It's kind of a simpler time that I really love to kind of go back to, because Cassandra Clare said this in her recent Barnes & Noble live stream with Marie Rakowski, where she had said that reading historical fiction is the closest thing we have to time travel, and I can't help but agree with that statement. And I also think that the same thing can be said by watching classic TV shows. I'm not saying that modern TV isn't good. Some of it is really good and some of it is horrible. I don't really like watching a lot of new TV shows nowadays because I just don't. It's just not for me. But yeah, this is definitely one of my absolute favorites, and I will forever love the show. If you guys ever want to see more videos on the Rifleman, me talking about certain characters, feel free to ask. I have no problem talking about that. However, I probably will want to do another binge watch of the show before I fully do character like analysis and things like that, because it's been a hot minute since I've watched the show. And next one, we have the Donna Reed Show, and there is a story that goes with this show. So I was going through a lot of really hard times at my job. I was really, really stressed out. So I made some pretty bad decisions at that point in my life and decided not to go to work for 2 weeks. I was just in a very bad emotional, unstable place, and I just didn't feel like I could be safe. I mean, like it wasn't like thoughts of suicide or anything like that. I was just in a really, really bad place. Just the very idea of going to work and doing the same thing that I've always done over and over again was just really, really damaging to me at that time in my life. It was during the height of COVID and just wasn't really a good place for me. It was one of the reasons that 2020 was such a bad year for me, and which is another reason I did not make videos at that time. And it was just bad for me. It was just bad, and this brought a lot of laughs and a lot of joy into my heart, I guess you could call that. It's no media is perfect, but I really loved every single episode of this show. There's good and bad episodes over the course of the show. They've only released the first 5 seasons, so I still have yet to be able to finish the show. They made 8 seasons, 275 episodes, running from, I think they started in 1960 and ran into 1968. I could be, oh no, I scratched that. From 1958 to 1966. My mistake. So they started the same time the Rifleman did. Interesting to know. But the show, like the 5 seasons that we had, I literally just binged it. I didn't do anything but watch the show for 2 weeks until I finished it. And it was amazing. I've kind of made my peace with it. We're probably never going to get the other 3 seasons because there's a lot of licensing issues, and getting those released on DVD is apparently not as easy as we think it is. But I just love it. The storyline of the show follows Donna Stone, played by Donna Reed. She is the core character of the series, but she also has her husband Alex Stone, who is a pediatrician, and then they have 2 children, Mary and Jeff, and it's a lot of shenanigans, a lot of day to day with the characters. All the Jeff centered episodes were always my favorites, just because I don't know. I feel like I could connect a little bit more with Jeff than worrying about like Mary going on a date with somebody. Is just a little bit like, I guess I never really dated, so it's kind of hard to connect with that. But there's elements of when there's Alex themed episodes, more hardcore Donna themed episodes more than usual. It's just a lot of fun. It's funny, but it's not too funny. It's very honest. It's very clean. There's not a lot there. I'm so sorry. My stupid tongue does not want to work today. There's not a ton of action in here. It's not real suspenseful, but there are a handful of episodes that really are very, very good. Very, very good in that aspect. But it's a lot of fun, and if you want to go back to a simpler time, this is black and white. If I did not tell you that already, this is a black and white series, and so is The Rifleman. You'll find a lot of these older shows are filmed in black and white because colored TV did not come to television until 1966. That was really when a lot of TV shows started doing in color. The Andy Griffith Show is one of those that did not go to color until their 6th year. So that's when I really did a lot of research, and I found that a lot of TV did not go into color until 1966. So a lot of stuff was in black and white. And honestly, once you watch enough black and white movies and TV, it really doesn't bother me anymore. So I highly recommend this one. It's like the gender roles and possibly some sexist commentary and ideas maybe aren't the best, but there's always a point. Men and women are all created equal in this. It's not, there's not some message in here saying one sex is better than the other. It's not perfect. No media is, but it is. It's a lot of fun, and I cannot recommend this one enough. It is one of my favorites. In terms of sitcoms, it's probably up there with my number one spot. I just love it that much, and I constantly find myself going back to it all the time. So the next one is more early-ish. It's not quite as old as that one, and that one is The Brady Bunch. The show, funny enough, is also 5 seasons. I realize there's quite a few shows here. They're all 5-season shows, funny enough. So Rifleman ended up getting canceled after 5 years, but Chuck Connors was wanting to leave it anyway. But this show, the ending of the show, not the best ending because they didn't really get an ending, which is really disappointing. But they kind of made up for that. There's a lot of movies and spin-offs and short project things that you can get in the complete collector's complete series, which I also have. It's just too big and bulky to pull out, but I thought you couldn't get these individually, so had to get them individually because they're much easier to open, and the discs are all in here like this. It's much easier. The other big one is very similar to one I'll show in just a moment, but it's very hard to get the discs out of it. But this show follows 3 adults and 6 children and a dog, and it's a lot of fun. Way more shenanigans, you might say, than Donna Reed or Rifleman or a lot of other family-centered television shows that came out of the 60s and 70s. This one, I think, was 1969 is when this one started. So 69 to 75, 74, something like that. But we follow Carol, who has 3 daughters, Marcia, Jan, and Cindy. And then we have Mike Brady, who has 3 sons, Peter, Greg, and oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Peter, Bobby, and Greg. There we go. I remembered all of them. Almost. There was only one. And then we also have their housekeeper named Alice. And this show is amazing. There's so much love in this one. I just adore it. The first 4 seasons are my all-time favorite. Season 5 is really touch and go. It has its good episodes, and it has its really not so good episodes. I think the strongest point of the show were those first 4 seasons. That was when I personally felt the show was at its absolute best. I kind of don't care for season 5. I think you could really look at the season 4 finale as that's a pretty good way to kind of end the show on, even though it doesn't really feel like an ending in any way. But it's about a big family. It's a very big family, 6 children, lot of craziness, a lot of you're never going to have a dull moment, a lot of problems that the parents kind of tackle together as a family should, a lot of great family dynamics. There's a lot of boys versus girl moments, which one is better when they discover they're not better, they're the same, they're just as good, not better, or you all equal ground. I loved some of those themes in various episodes about this. It is truly a great, great show. I had a lot of fun watching this series, and I'm still disappointed that once again this did not get an ending. But it's okay because, like I said, there is tons of spin offs and things like that about the show, and I really, 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 really love this one. A lot of great characters. My favorite character, it's I love everybody, but the Greg themed episodes are a really big hit for me. I really liked all those, but like I said, I love everyone. I love everyone. I loved the like this was just so great, and it we kind this reminds me a little bit of Full House. Full House is more of a Brady Bunch maybe 2.0 in some areas. It's not the same. The premises are not nearly the same at all. It's very different, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I love that there's an episode in one of the seasons of Full House where they do mention the Brady Bunch, and they actually mention the Brady Bunch in multiple times. So I kind of like those honorable name drops of that. And then there's the classic show that was the first classic show that I ever watched, which was the Andy Griffith Show. This is set in a small town of North Carolina, in a small town called Mayberry, where it's a seamlessly harmful community where everybody knows everybody. I've grown up in small towns my whole life, so when I tell you that everybody pretty much knows everybody, that's a pretty fair statement. Fairly, somewhat, maybe, kind of, I don't know. But it's great. We follow Sheriff Andy Taylor and his very rambunctiously fun deputy Barney Fife, played by the fabulous Don Knotts. It's great. We have Aunt B, who's this very warm, kind of motherly friend figure to both everybody in town, really, but mainly to Opie, who is Andy's son. It's a great father-son themed relationship show if you want one that's a little bit more modern-ish, from opposed to The Rifleman, which is one of the lovely aspects of that show that I really love, and it's really great. 1 second here. All that talking makes me thirsty. But there's so many great moments in this show. So the first 5 seasons of this show are fantastic. I'm not saying the other 3 seasons are not good. They're just very different, and I would have to rewatch them and do a review of those 3 seasons to kind of tell you my opinion, really, because it's been a few years since I've dived into it. But to me, it's just very different. They're in color. Don Knotts left the show after season 5, so he only comes back for cameo appearances in the colored seasons. And I just feel like the show lost so much magic when he left. The show just wasn't quite the same. I don't think the Andy Taylor character was quite the same after Don Knotts left the show. So for me, the first 5 seasons will always be my absolute favorites. And they're just great. They're really, really great. The show is funny. It's a sitcom as well. It's a lot of hilarious moments. The friendship between Andy and Barney is unmatched. I've never seen anything even remotely similar to it on television ever. It's just very honest. It's very clean. The show is very clean, but the friendship between the two of them is very funny. It's very honest. It's very truthful. It's everything we want in a friend, to be there and to support us. And I think that is what these characters have, and it is definitely something that I strive for in my own friendships with my friends. And this is just a wonderful show that I cannot recommend enough. It is a wonderful show. They just released this entire series on Blu-ray, and I want it so bad. So I'm definitely going to hopefully get that at some point, but love it. And They also had a couple of spin-offs. They also have a Return to Mayberry movie, which is in a collection that I have. I've been meaning to pick it up on individual DVD for a few years now, but I love it so much because I feel like it almost makes it feel like it's an apology for the really bad 3 seasons we got. Um, so second to last here. I forgot to grab this one out of here. All right, well, we'll just pull a random one, and that's the Dick Van Dyke Show. How could I make a video about classic TV shows without talking about the Dick Van Dyke Show? Starring Dick Van Dyke, Maury Anderson, and the beautiful and incredibly talented Rosemary. I love the show. This follows Robert Petrie, who has his wife Laura, and his son Richie, and he is a head writer of a TV show where he writes scripts, and then they give them to Alan Brady. It's called the Alan Brady Show. The TV show is set in 1960, or at least the beginning of it is 1960 to 1965, and it follows a lot of hilarious moments. There's the whole "Oh Rob" thing from Laura, which is hilarious. There's a lot of Rob and Laura storylines. Every single season always starts with an episode involving Richie in some capacity. The Andy Griffith Show does that. The first episode of every single season of the Andy Griffith Show always has an Opie inspired episode, always. And it's always like how they set it up is that first episode was meant to kind of be the bridge, and it kind of to judge what the future of that season would actually look like. The show doesn't really do that. It's always really hard talking about older shows because they don't have a overall storyline like we have in TV shows today, where the entire season has a plot. Sitcoms, especially in the 60s, did not really do that, so it's really hard. But this one's very, very funny. It has a lot of musical aspects to it. There's like music is played throughout the course of the show. It's a lot of fun, and I think you would really, really enjoy it. And last, but certainly not least, this was a show I discovered last year when I finally, after 2.5 years, got COVID, and I was stuck in bed for 10 days. So what was I supposed to do but watch the show? So that's what I did when I wasn't sleeping and forcing myself to drink water, because I hate drinking water when I'm sick, and that is I Love Lucy. Now, I've of course watched I Love Lucy before that happened, but I would watch an episode here or there, but I never watched it fully from the beginning. I loved it. It's amazing. Lucy is hilarious. It's hilarious. The show really is about Lucy and her husband, Ricky. Ricky is a musician. He has his show with a orchestra band, and they go on tours. They do shows. It's set in the 50s, so very old show. It aired in 1951, so it's probably set around that same time, and it's set in New York City. Well, the beginning of it is set in New York City. They kind of go on vacations, and then they move out into the country towards the end of the show. It's a lot of fun. They ended up having a son, which they named Little Ricky. Lucy is amazing. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnett, I think is how you pronounce the actors' names, are amazing. They're legendary. They're great actors. The characters they play in this is so wonderful. You laugh, you cry, you cheer for them. It's kind of entertaining to see what kind of shenanigans that Lucy puts herself through every single episode, and it is an absolute joy to watch. This show is very, very good. The first 2 to 3 seasons are my favorite. But yeah, it's wonderful. So that is all these wonderful shows, and I'm always looking out for more because they're clean. they don't have sex or violence or swearing in them. And it's always kind of nice to kind of time travel in our imaginations and go back to a simpler time. So let me know if you've watched any of these shows, what you thought of them. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.